Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Bobby J on 30A. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with Bobby Johnson.
Hey, how are you, Chris?
What's up, Bobby? I'm good. I'm good.
Great,
How are
man.
you?
Happy. Good. I'm excited. I love this topic we've been discussing a little bit today.
Yeah, well, you brought up a Muhammad Ali quote, and so give me the quote as best you can.
I told you I might butcher it, but back in the day, Muhammad Ali, used to say, "I am the greatest." I am the greatest, and they asked him one day how he knew he was going to be the greatest, and he became the greatest, and he said, "I didn't."
Right.
I truly had to believe it.
Yeah.
In order to become it, and doing so, I was actually telling myself this, and he became the greatest. I don't even know if that's a debatable thing any longer.
Right.
That he was the greatest.
Yeah. I love that quote because it led to our conversation. We were talking about I think the power of belief, the power of how we think about ourselves, not from a place of arrogance, not from a place of because Muhammad Ali came off as arrogant. I would just say
especially then.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But now you begin to wonder, was it? I thought about that quite a bit as well. Especially then, especially the culture, and his race even. Not to get into all that, but think about where this guy making that claim and, changing his name even. There was a lot of all of that, but there had to be a tremendous belief in self at that point.
I love that.
So I think it brought into, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, it reminded me of a quote I heard even in the last week, which is, I am who I believe I am. Not even I am who I say I am, because sometimes we can say stuff and not really believe it, right?
That's right. Yeah.
If if you don't feel great about yourself, when you try to do affirmations on top of not feeling great about yourself.
Oh, wow.
Right? It doesn't jive. You're like, yeah, I don't really believe me about that. I don't believe that affirmation about myself. But when you believe it, when you are who you believe you are, and so I don't know, I just love that because I feel like a lot of people are wanting to have a breakout in their life, right? They want to break out, and it's going to come down to the ability to believe.
Wow. Yeah. I really think you're spot on, Chris. And I think, I think as we are younger, it's a little bit harder, right? I told my son the other day, I was looking at him and I said, I wish you could see yourself the way I do, and my daughters as well. And these agents out here, have you ever seen a picture of yourself, a recent picture and oh my gosh, look how horrible I look.
Yeah.
And then 5 years or 10 years later, you're like, I'm rocking it, man. Why couldn't I see that then? Right. Why can't I see myself like that? I've struggled with that, I think, my whole life. Where I don't see myself the way maybe others see me.
Yeah.
But I think I was smart enough, or I had enough mentorship that I was told that my mind was playing tricks on me and not to believe that voice. Right. Yeah. Sorry if the camera angles off a little bit today. I'm kind of looking down at the camera, but I think it's more important about what you and I are saying to each other today.
Absolutely. I think the camera angle is great for the record.
So I just really realized that in this industry, the two things that make a good agent are, ego and empathy, right? You have to be empathetic, but ego can go too far, crosses over into arrogance, right? Yeah. And so unfortunately or fortunately in my business, I've been able to have a lot of success in the number one category, right? And I've used it in much marketing, right? And I think that it has upset others in my my peers in a sense. But again, I'm not marketing to my peers. I often remind them I market to the public,
right.
To my sphere of influence. If you are crosshairs of my sphere, then it is what it is, Yeah. Our company though has been able to be number one on 30A by 30A.com, which was it's a website that they now are associated with another real estate company. So I can't market with them any longer. Great company though, good people, good friends of mine. They just made a move that was good for them.
Yeah.
But they did this thing called hotspots, and it's voted by the public, right? So we were fortunate enough to be number one the 3 years they did it, 2016, 2017, 2018. As a matter of fact, I had heard that a couple other companies that even hired a marketing person to beat us out, right? You know, what the best thing about that, Chris, though, it was voted by the public, by the, you know, people that use our business. And we're all in there trying to make it work and try to get our numbers. You know, those things you get in the email where vote for us, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, for us, that was kind of cool. Number one, my own personal transactions, I have been number one in transactions along 30A for areas 16, 17, and 18, which means Point Washington, 30A, 30A West in transactions since 2012. Wow. Okay. So that's a 6-year run. Now that sounds all great and look at me, you know, but truthfully, I really wish I was number one in volume. You know what I mean? And less transactions, because that takes a toll on someone, you know? And of course I can manipulate those numbers, and of course I can make it look like this or whatever. That's really not the point. The real point is I have spent 10 years working on myself to believe in myself enough to even get those type of numbers, right? I don't think you just wake up and that happens. I really don't. I think you gotta, maybe there's that rare instance, that rare person, but I don't know about you. I gotta go after, I gotta work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of the whole, that's why that thought process, right? Like who I believe I am. That's why it's so important, because life's going to throw you a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of circumstance that's going to happen, and who you believe you are in the midst of that is going to determine will result in results, right? Like it will produce a result, whether you believe you're up for the challenge or you believe you can't be up for the challenge. But
yes. So you just reminded me of a thought. You know, did you ever surf, Chris? Are you a surfer?
I've tried to surf once. It wasn't great.
So I want to write a book one day about surfing and how it resembles life, right? I mean, all these metaphors, you're stuck in the inside and the waves pounding over your head, and you've got to bust on through, and I could really kind of dial it all in. But one of the things that strikes me about the life in real estate is, so I catch this wave, right? And I really tear it up. I'm sure it wasn't as great as my brain told me it was. And that's the funny thing about real estate. But I'm an average surfer. It took me a long time to be able to admit that. I'm average. I thought I was a great surfer, but I still get out there and I have fun. I'm actually the best surfer in the water because that's the one having the most fun. So I like
there you go. Nice.
That as well. So this is what happens in surfing, right? I catch a wave, and I tore it up, you know? And I'm paddling back out to the lineup, and I'm like, did anybody see that? I mean, that was me tearing it up, right? I mean, my head is this big, and I am as arrogant as you can possibly be, sitting out in the water, basically prey at that moment in time. And then the next wave comes along, and I don't get to my feet, and I'm going over the falls, and I get drained onto the sandbar, right? Now I'm this guy. I feel, and that's, of course, by the way, that's the one that everyone sees. You know, they didn't, They didn't catch that wave. And all in an instant, I am, I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, basically, is what it boils down to. And I feel like that, and I'm paddling back out, and it's quick how life does that too, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, look at me. I got contracts. People are signing up. I'm really on track. Open your email and 3 cancellations. And you know, we used to say in real estate, you're only as good as your last transaction. And
such a good metaphor.
I think the secret to life, in a sense of this part of being number one or ego, or is to find a balance and not let the circumstances of the day or the hour or the minute define who you are as a person. And I think that's the struggle. I don't know if I've mastered that. I'm trying to work on that.
I love that. I think that's perfectly said, because that's it. Like I want to get into another episode, and we won't do this now, but you had a quote, and I definitely want to go there, but it was the arriving at the silence of self. Right. And I feel like when you can, life is going to happen to you. You're going to catch a good wave and you're going to get crushed by another wave. But in the silence of self, you just are who you are. You are who you believe you are.
Oh, right.
Right. Wow. And that's how you get to feel good about yourself when you go to sleep at night, whether there were cancellations in contracts or you took 50 listings. Either way, arriving at the silence of self, you get to be who you believe you are, which I love. So
it's it becomes, if you're not healthy in your head, it becomes very fleeting. Like when it's not even in a sense, if this even makes any sense, maybe it's a tad arrogant to realize that you were that anyone put your identity in. Let's use the wave, for example, that there you are on that great wave, and you did really good. And the next minute you're this nobody and you wiped out and you look like a fool. But to even think, if you want to take it deep, that people think about you that much, do you know what I mean? It almost falls into, they don't, they look over, whoa, Bobby just got worked. That's the reality. Nobody thinks about, yet I've let it, my personal world, I've let it define me. And I think I have to be careful when I bring that into my day to day, right? I mean, I need to be very mindful that my mind is doing that. I always say I'm sensitive and I suffer poorly.
Nice combination.
That's an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. I've always liked that one.
Right. I heard this quote. It was a quote similar in the last week that was like, because I know myself, I give you space to be yourself, right? Like, when I think so many times we are afraid that we're going to be judged. Oh, people just watched me wipe out on a wave or whatever. And so we're not okay with our imperfections. And if we're not okay with our imperfections, then we actually then aren't okay with other people's imperfections. And we live our life out of this like mirage of perfectness, right?
Wow. Well, and then, oftentimes maybe we don't do things, and I've seen this with my children, because we're not number one. But how can you be number one if you don't do it? I mean, my son always loved to go surfing. And then one day he didn't like to go as much. I asked him, why don't you want to go surfing? Oh, I'm just not very good at it anymore. Well, how do you get good at it if you can't do it? I mean, I think we all struggle with a little bit of that.
Right.
I mean, how are we going to do? I guarantee you a lot of times when someone might look at vlogging, that's a great example, right? Podcasting, whatever the case may be, they're not going to do it because what's it going to look like? What are people going to think? I oftentimes think about, and maybe I embellish this fact a little bit, or this thing. Your contract with me is our relationship, right? I tell people it had quotes in there about that I'm not supposed to overly look at it. I don't even let my wife look at it. I don't want to take a look at it being critical, because when I see myself and it's not the best or the light, or I got bags under my eyes, I didn't get much sleep last night, and I don't look the best, or I don't this, then guess what? My default is to do nothing.
Yep.
And I think I'm not the only one that struggles with that.
No, that's like humanity. That's like the human condition, And I do feel like there is an awakening. Like if I look across the last couple decades of like the kinds of conversations the public is having, people are becoming more self-aware, right? Yeah. We're looking inward a lot more. So I feel like there's a lot of unhappiness. I just went through a series of my own in December on Facebook Live about my own unhappiness, right? Like talking to the world about being unhappy.
Yeah, that's what Eric Davis all about. And I think that's how we got to imagine that. That's how we are connected right now.
Yeah.
It's by your low point of discussing your low point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a power about it when you start to own your low points and your imperfections, and you just say it as it is, and you don't feel any judgment by it. You just go, this is what it is. I'm just telling the truth about it. All of a sudden, like, all the little whispers of like, you're not good enough kind of fall away. And you go, yeah, I know. I just said that. Like, I just said, I'm not good enough. I don't need your whispers to tell me. I just told you I'm not good enough.
Well, yesterday when we had our little, talk about the ledge moment.
Right.
Really what that had a little bit to do with somewhat. I was having, personal issues I'm dealing with. I'm struggling with self. So what's my default is to get out of the way of all of it and let it rinse over me. And the reality of it is, you were right. I mean, I need to probably more than anything get involved with it. There used to be this thing about, what was it? Meetings, or I forget what it was, but they used to say that it's when you need it the most. You need to be more involved with the social, the public, or when you don't want to do it is when you need to do it. I don't want to wake up in the morning and work out. It's not my natural. Who does at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
But the more we can make ourselves uncomfortable, I think that's the beauty of happiness is, or getting out of your comfort zone and moving towards a place of comfort. I get it. Did I even say that right?
Yeah. Well, I get it though.
Yeah. I lost my thought of where exactly you've heard about my primal thought, right? With the cave, right? Okay.
No.
Maybe I can wrap up with this thought if I can get it out. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really important because it is kind of coming out of nowhere with where we are in the world, where I think long time ago, we were chased by things, right? Have we ever had this discussion? Okay. And we know we lived in caves, right?
Yeah.
So it was really important for us to get home, right? Get the fire, take what we caught and cook it. We're looking around, we're comfortable, right? Someone's guarding the entrance. And for some reason, we are still to this day drawn to that. I mean, Chris, what do we got to do? I got to get this. I'm out in the woods right now. I'm hunting. And then I got to get home to my comfort home.
Yep.
But the reality of it is there's nothing chasing me. There's nothing trying to kill me.
Right.
And when I leave that comfort zone and I go home, maybe I go out in the yard, maybe I just change clothes and I decide to go out and meet some friends. Maybe I decide to go see a show. Maybe I decide to live a little bit, right? When have you ever done that and you go, boy, I regret doing this? You don't.
Yeah, right.
You die. That's where we die, is in our little comfort zone. Get out of that and you will always be inspired to do more. And yet we all I know some people have it really bad. They want to get home. You know what I mean? Look at that. And you could probably look at their lives a little bit and see that they're probably not very successful. Whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Ouch. Well, and you can even take that past, like, it doesn't have to even be successful in outward measures, like whatever awards you got or however much money you make, but even internally, back to the I am who I believe I am, like your feeling of success, you feeling that you are successful regardless of output, right?
Right. I mean, I think we one day we'll do a show just to clarify what I just said, because that did probably come off as very arrogant, but let's define what success looks like too. I mean, I'm not talking about income. I'm talking about success as life. Most people that are drawn back to the little cave, they tend to have a very unsuccessful life.
Right. Because I think that our soul wants to grow. Our soul wants to be out there living life and experiencing it. So when you imprison yourself to your comfort zone, you don't feel successful because your soul's saying, go out there. Life is out there, right?
Live. Yeah. And it all kind of comes back full circle to, whatever number one looks like to you and your world. And I guarantee you Muhammad Ali was not running home and hanging out on his sofa checking out Facebook quotes.
It's good, man. It's convicting, but good. I like it. Well, good stuff, Bobby. Thanks for this. Listen, I like having these conversations with you, man. It's not about real estate, right? And it's all about real estate. Like,
Totally. Yeah.
I just, nothing.
Well, I may have gotten a little sidetracked. Hopefully that success did not come off as arrogant. I think anybody that really knows me, I can preach from a place of being number one, but I don't mean that in a sense of an arrogant way.
No, I don't
think that if I look at my life overall and I work really hard, I know I'm number one dad to a couple kids, maybe, and I'm number one there. I don't know how I am in the whole world of life, but I like to think I'm close to certain people of being number one. You know?
Absolutely. That's good.
I have a property.
Yeah.
Yes, I have 43 Dune Breeze Lane. Chris, I do not know why this thing, probably the best deal on the market. I hope when this airs that we're not having and I can put sold on the bottom of this. This property is listed for $495. Wow. It is in our area. That is a heck of a deal. It's 2,500 square feet, which is $198 a square foot. Do you guys look at square footage pricing up there where you are?
Not as much, but I mean, it's on our reports, but.
Yeah. Like, so that's a big deal here it's under 200 square foot and it's near the beach, got great lake views, got a pool. It's 4-bedroom. Here's the interesting catch about a home like this. It's doing about 55 to 60,000 a year in rental numbers, and it's only $495. And that's the real catch. I'm not really sure why this one's still available, other than the fact it's a townhome, and it's not an area that we search a lot. So we typically go from condos to houses. Townhomes have a tendency to get overlooked. Okay, it is. It even has a garage. So it's just, I've had it on the market now for around 211 days. It's one of those properties that I look at and I think I should buy it, which is always, anytime I think that, if I did that all the time, I would definitely not be number one. I'd be number one broke, but it is a great deal. And so you could check out this property at 30alocalproperties.com. And it's on the website there. You find me, look down under my name. You'll see all my listings. And from there, you can call a local and we'll get you figured out. That again is 30alocalproperties.com. Of course, my cell is 850-865-7798.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobby. Great stuff today, man. Love it. Love it. We'll catch you next time.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah.